to another deep dive. You know how this works. You send us stuff that's piqued your interest, and we dive deep, unpack it all, give you those golden nuggets of insight, and hopefully a little bit of aha along the way.
Exactly. Cutting through all that noise, all that information overload, and really zeroing in on what truly matters, what you wanted to explore.
And today's exploration is all about Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. Seems like this novel has really captured people's attention, and we've got a fantastic mix of material to dig into. We're talking about the Amazon page for the audiobook, some key points from the book's summary, a thematic analysis, and even a podcast-style review.
Always a good sign. A podcast reviewing a book, clearly someone was hooked. But yeah, our mission here, I think, is to understand why this book has resonated so strongly. We'll break down the core story, meet those memorable characters, and really tease out the themes that make it so compelling.
By the end of this deep dive, you'll be in the know, even if you haven't actually read the book yet. Think of it as a shortcut to understanding what all the buzz is about. So let's jump right into the heart of it. Who are these remarkably bright creatures?
Well, we got to start with Tova Sullivan, a 70-year-old widow working the night shift at, get this, the Sowell Bay Aquarium. And right away, the sources highlight her meticulous nature, like routines, order, everything in its place. But this isn't just a quirky character trait. It's how she copes with loss.
Makes sense. Loss as in?
The death of her husband, and even more profoundly, the mysterious disappearance of her son, Eric, 30 years ago. You can really sense how that unresolved grief shapes her present, how she finds a kind of solace in the predictability of her work.
So she's seeking order in a world that feels, out of control. And speaking of creatures in control, we've got to talk about Marcellus. He's probably one of those unique characters we've come across in all our deep dives.
A giant Pacific octopus. And not just any octopus, mind you. The book's title gives it away. He's remarkably bright, highly intelligent. One source even mentions a very specific detail. At the start of the story, he's been in captivity for 1299 days.
Wow, they track that.
Apparently. And given their 4-year lifespan, that puts things into perspective, right? His sense of time must be so different from ours.
Totally. And what's really cool is the way the story is told. We get chapters from Tova's human perspective, and then, bam! We switch to Marcellus's point of view, his observations, his insights, all from this incredibly intelligent but non-human perspective.
Really makes you wonder what we as humans might be missing.
Right.
What we could learn if we could see the world through the eyes of an octopus.
Mind-blowing stuff.
Okay.
So we've got Tova, the meticulous widow, and Marcellus, the observant octopus. Who else rounds out this cast of characters?
Well, there's Cameron Cassmore. He's a 30-year-old kind of drifting through life in California. Until, that is, he finds a photo and a class ring belonging to his estranged mother. And he sees them as clues, like breadcrumbs leading to a father he's never known.
So a classic search for identity.
Yeah, but there's also this underlying hope for, let's say, financial support. He believes this father is a wealthy real estate tycoon up in Washington. So we've got this fish out of water element, right? Cameron venturing into a new world with this specific, somewhat transactional goal in mind.
Money can be a powerful motivator. And to complete this initial picture, we have Ethan Mack. He owns the local grocery store in Sowell Bay, adding that small-town vibe. Oh, did I mention he has a bit of a crush on Tova?
Yeah, Ethan becomes a key figure in Cameron's journey, too. Like a bridge connecting these different lives in this small coastal town.
So with the scene set and the characters in place, what brings them all together?
Well, I think it's the unlikely friendship at the heart of the book.
You're talking about Tova and Marcellus.
Bingo. One source describes this incident where Tova actually saves Marcellus. He escapes from his tank, pretty daring for an octopus, but gets tangled in electrical cords. Tova finds him and untangles him, essentially saving his life. And this act of care, it really sets the stage for their unique bond.
You can see how that vulnerability on Marcellus's part might shift their dynamic. It's not just a human caring for an animal anymore.
Right. And keep in mind, Marcellus isn't just passively observing. He's got his own way of interacting with the world, even stealing objects like that cleaning glove from Tova and stashing them in his den.
Stealing?
Well, maybe more like collecting, hoarding. It's not out of malice, more like curiosity, a way of making sense of his surroundings. And the amazing thing is, Marcellus seems to recognize something special in Tova. He sees her as someone who sees him, beyond just being an exhibit.
That's got to be powerful for any creature, let alone one constantly on display, to be truly seen. And meanwhile, Cameron's out there trying to find his place in this new world. How does he fit into all this?
Remember, His initial motivation was finding his wealthy dad, right? Maybe scoring some financial support. But life has a way of throwing curveballs. He ends up taking a job at Ethan's grocery store. And through those everyday interactions, his path crosses with Tova's at the aquarium.
Small town, everyone knows everyone.
Exactly. And apparently there's some great humor sprinkled in there. One review specifically mentioned Cameron's lost luggage, a running gag that's hysterically funny. A bit of lightness amidst some heavier themes, which I'm sure is welcome. But what's really interesting is how Cameron's goals change, that initial focus on money. It starts to fade as he spends more time in Sowell Bay, working at the store, connecting with Tova and Ethan. The relationships become more important than any potential payout.
Sounds like he's finding something more genuine than he expected. But there's also that underlying mystery, right? The whole reason this deep dive was requested.
Oh yeah, the mystery is front and center. And guess who might hold the key to it all?
Marcellus.
Our cephalopod detective. He's been quietly observing everything at the aquarium for years, and the sources suggest he may have witnessed something crucial related to Eric's disappearance. One review even states, ever the detective, Marcellus deduces what happened the night Tova's son disappeared.
Whoa. So we've got this incredibly intelligent creature who might have the answers, but he can't exactly tell Tova, hey, I know what happened to your son.
It creates this amazing tension. Can Marcellus communicate what he knows before his time runs out? It adds a whole layer of urgency and poignancy to the story.
I'm hooked already. But before we get too carried away, let's break down some of those key themes everyone's raving about. Friendship seems like a big one.
For sure. The bond between Tova and Marcellus, it's really at the heart of the book. It shows how connection can blossom in the most unexpected places between beings that are so different. It challenges us to think about where we might find those connections if we open ourselves up to them.
And then there's the theme of grief, which is so interwoven with Tova's character. 30 years of carrying that weight, the loss of her son, the unanswered questions.
It's a powerful exploration of long-term grief and how it shapes a person. Like her meticulous nature, her routines at the aquarium. It's all a way of coping, of trying to find order in a world that feels disordered by loss.
But it's not just about grief, is it? The idea of connection seems to extend beyond just Tova and Marcellus.
You're right. It touches on the broader connection between humans and animals, this idea that creatures can save each other, offering comfort, support, even across species. It makes us rethink our assumptions about intelligence and emotional depth in the animal world.
And let's not forget the personal growth. Tova and Cameron both go on these journeys of self-discovery. It's not just about solving a mystery, it's about inner transformation.
Absolutely. Tova starts to open herself up to new possibilities, maybe even to healing. And Cameron, his initial pursuit of money and a father figure evolves into something much deeper. He's figuring out who he is, what he values, where he truly belongs. It's a process of growth and change.
And through all this, there's that glimmer of hope, right? That even in the face of loss and uncertainty, a brighter future is possible.
You got it. It's a story that acknowledges the weight of the past, but doesn't let it define the future. There's always potential for healing, connection, and finding meaning.
And the way the book portrays animal intelligence, particularly through Marcellus, is just brilliant. It challenges our human-centric view of the world.
For sure. Marcellus's ability to observe, problem solve, even understand human emotions, it forces us to reconsider what we assume about intelligence in other species.
It's like she's saying, hey, there's a whole world of intelligence out there that we might be missing.
Exactly. And let's not forget the more human-centric themes, too. The experience of aging, the evolving dynamics of friendships, finding purpose later in life. Tova's journey is very much about navigating this stage of life and redefining herself.
And it sounds like there's this strong element of second chances woven throughout the narrative as well. It's never too late to start over, find new connections, experience joy.
Absolutely. And that ties in beautifully with the themes of recognition and secrets. The characters are all dealing with hidden truths, with coming to terms with their pasts. And it's through uncovering those secrets that they can truly see themselves and each other more clearly.
Okay, so we've got this rich tapestry of themes, these compelling characters. What's the overall verdict? How did Shelby Van Pelt pull it all together?
Well, based on the reviews, she nailed it. People are praising the book's humor, its heart, its emotional depth, the originality, the writing itself. It's resonated with a wide audience, and that's no small feat.
Yeah, the online reviews are glowing. One person called it a beautiful mix of humor, heart, and emotional depth. Another described it as phenomenal, saying everything ties in perfectly.
And a lot of reviewers specifically mentioned Marcellus. His voice, his personality, the tenderness of the relationships, those seem to be the real highlights. Someone even said, if someone had told me I'd fallen in love with the idea and personality of an octopus, I would have thought they were mad. But honestly, the character of Marcellus was just beautiful.
It sounds like she created something truly special, a story that's both thought-provoking and deeply moving.
Absolutely. That consistent praise from critics and readers shows how well she blended all these elements into a cohesive, heartwarming narrative.
Well, I think it's safe to say our deep dive into Remarkably Bright Creatures has been a success. We've explored the characters, uncovered the mystery, and really delved into the themes that make this book so powerful. I don't know about you, but I'm ready to add it to my reading list.
Me too. And for those who prefer listening, don't forget the audiobook. Narrated by Marin Ireland and Michael Urie, no less. It's a good long one too, over 11 hours. Perfect for those long commutes or lazy weekends.
So there you have it. A glimpse into the world of Remarkably Bright Creatures and all its wonders. But before we sign off, we'd like to leave you with something to ponder. Think about your own life. Have you ever formed a connection with someone or something completely unexpected? What can we learn by looking beyond our preconceived notions and embracing those surprising connections, whether human or animal? It's a question worth considering. Until next time, happy reading or listening, and keep those deep dive requests coming.
See you next time.
Bye for now.